Hello and welcome everybody to Let's Play Age of Empires 3, The Asian Dynasties, with your host as always, Mah-Dry-Bread. Today we'll be doing the first of the Japanese campaign. We'll be doing, of course, each of the Asian Dynasties campaigns, which are the three new teams of Japan, then China, then India. I believe each one has 5 missions. I have beaten this whole campaign a few times over, and I'm a veteran player of this game. So I will be kind of explaining and teaching how to get better at this game while playing. This is simply a fresh file, so as to not spoil what's next as we go along. We'll be doing the whole game just on moderate difficulty, and I guess let's get started. If you'd like to, I very much do recommend that you pause the video on these screens and actually read these little historical blurbs, because they are quite interesting.
Listen, for this is the last statement of Lord Tori Mototada. A large number of rebel diamonds lay siege to this castle, and are mere moments from penetrating its heart. But I do not fear death. If you choose to give your life for your master, you will not have the slightest fear, even in the face of disaster. It is an honor to lay down my life for my master, Tokugawa. I only wish I could have done more in his name. That wish is the right of every dead man.
You sent for me, Tokugawa-dono.
I have news, Kichiro. The unifier of Japan has died, and his dynasty now balances on the edge of a sword. At this very moment, my enemy, Ishida Mitsunari, is mobilizing the Western clans into an army to oppose me.
So we will march against him. Today if we must.
You remind me why I took a trembling orphan into my care 10 years ago. I saw the same ferocity in his eyes that I see now. But remember, Kichiro, there will come a time when you will have to choose between your own ambition and the ambition of your master.
My loyalty will not falter, Tono, no matter what awaits.
As it should be. Even the fiercest of us must learn to heal.
Something you learn very early with a lot of these stories, as is usual if you haven't seen or played the rest of Age of Empires 3's campaigns, is that these stories are usually of fictional characters who are interacting with real characters. Or, in this case, I believe this character to be fictional. I don't know a ton about Japanese history. In the Vanilla Games campaign, all of the characters have historical records of them, but the tales they go through together are loosely based off what has been written about them. Tokugawa, for instance, if you've ever played a Sid Meier's Civilization game, you'll know, was an emperor of Japan for a very long time.
General, Osaka Castle has readied its defenses. They are fools. I welcome a challenge.
Greetings. You must be the renowned General Kichiro. The last we met, you still had cheeks round with baby fat.
Hello, Daimyo Mototada. Our master said you might choose to join me.
As always, my clan is at your service.
Osaka Castle is the true seat of power. Whoever occupies it holds complete authority.
Are you aware that the heir to the Toyotomi dynasty is just a 5-year-old boy?
Yes, but a castle is the home of a ruler, not of a child.
Then it is time we made Osaka Castle fit for a king again.
Alright, let's do this. If you notice the occasional stutter, by the way, in the recording, that's not actually the game. The game runs fantastic on modern systems. It's simply the recording software, and this game...
The defenses are stronger than anticipated. A headlong charge would end in slaughter.
Look for allies in the surrounding villages. They will know how to exploit the castle's weaknesses.
What I was saying is just that this game is kind of notorious for not functioning very well with recording software. Okay, I'm going to take this very slow at first to show you guys exactly how to play. Just a quick rundown of how to play if this is your first time seeing an Age of Empires game. Let's get things going. And I like to hotkey that to 5, and I'll get some villagers going while I'm talking. Right, I forgot shift is not the command in this game for that. Okay. Hotkey up my army. Okay. Real simple rundown. Like a lot of RTSs, you have a village center in which you produce your workers, or in this case villagers, who gather your resources and build things. The different resources are, you have your food, your coinage, or gold, as I tend to call it. I'll probably call it gold throughout the game, and wood, which you of course get from trees. If you are one of the Asian teams, you also have export, which is a picture of spice. That is a special resource for them that I'll explain a little bit later. And of course you have population, or rather, idle villagers, but you have your population cap, which is right here, which you build more houses to raise. Every single person or troop you have costs population. And in most matches you win through military conquest. You defeat your enemy's army and crush their base to the point that they surrender or cannot produce any units anymore. This game is actually very good for computers surrendering when they should. However, in the campaign, you're given missions outside of just slaughter.
Understands only force. If we had a castle, then they could no longer mistreat us.
Alright, so we're given a secondary objective of building a castle here. A castle is something of a... It's stronger than an outpost. However, it is weaker than... There we go. It's stronger than an outpost. However, it's weaker than a fortress. It's basically a mini fortress, and it produces siege units for Asian teams. It's an Asian-only building. And we have no people in wood right now. Things are a little bit lopsided at the moment. How much do we start with? I don't play Asian teams very often. When I do, I usually play India. Japan is generally a very disliked team online. It's generally considered as very, very overpowered, and thus people don't like... people don't like playing with people who play Japan. It's generally considered very overpowered because, and we'll get a race paddy field, I'll explain that in a little bit. Where can I fit it? Jeez. Is generally considered really overpowered, and so people don't like playing with people who use it. The Asian teams are notoriously not very well balanced, in fact. The big problem with Japan is that their equivalent of musketeers are all around, they're pretty much just a straight upgrade and a very cheap unit for when you get them and how you use them. So people don't really like having to deal with that. There are a few things considered very cheap in this game. The balancing in this game is a little bit poor for an ensemble studio game, who generally make very good RTSs. However, for the most part, I'd say it's a very balanced and good game. It's these, Ashigaru Musketeers are particularly strong. A unique thing of Asian teams, actually, is...
the moment we have waited for! Take the walls!
Interrupt me, why don't ya? Oh, right. Jeez. I was about to send him down there to build that, but I forgot that I already did that. By,
Send men to the western gates! The villagers rebel!
And I will send these guys over here to collect wood. By allying with this tribe here...
Secured the gates, General. It is time to strike.
Jeez, they're talky today. By securing their allegiance, this gate is actually ours now, so we can freely walk through it. That's why I didn't march through before.
Outposts lord over our lives. Liberate us, and we, simple farmers, will help you bring about a bloody harvest.
A unique ability of Asian teams is that when they use their home shipment cards, which whenever the experience bar fills, it fills naturally and also by building buildings or by eliminating enemy units.
We have breached the outer walls. But to reach the castle, we must build a wonder and improve our armies.
Yes. You will earn yourself cards, so we have one card we can use right now. And these are the different eras. There are actually 5 eras, but 4th is when you would have all of your cards available. You see in the top left, I have 2 of this card. With European and Native American teams, you only have 1 of each card. Unless you put multiples in your deck, which I feel like you can't do. I don't think you can actually put multiples in your deck with most teams. I feel like there might be one where there is. It's been a very long time since I seriously played this game online. If you're curious about what team I specialize in, I've had a lot of phases of playing different teams, but I currently play Russia. For Asian teams, I play India, and for the Native American teams, I love the Sioux. If you're wondering why I'm focusing down these towers while I'm being shot at by other units as well, it's because people will start to align with you as you destroy these towers. Campaign missions don't tend to be very hard. They tend to have a lot of very gimmicky requirements to winning. So what I'd recommend here for this stage is you've got a free castle, essentially. Right, you should always, by the way, rule of thumb that I've been slipping up on because I'm doing commentary and trying to explain things as I go. Never stop producing villagers. In fact, hit your villager cap, if possible. You want to always be producing villagers, because there's no reason not to be. They improve your economy, and the stronger your economy is, the more units you can produce, the faster you can produce them, and that's the name of the game. Is out-muscle and out-strategize your opponent. Samurais are a solid Whoa, they've got a big force here. Is a solid melee unit of the Japanese. They actually have a very strong siege attack, which is damage they do to buildings, which usually infantry are not very good against buildings. If you're wondering about this command I'm doing, by the way, that where my units will turn and just start shooting kind of the nearest enemy, that is a hotkey I actually had to bind. It's attack and move. In most games, that is, you click A and then right-click what you want to do. I'm actually going to have these guys assist here. In this game, that was not the hotkey for it. I believe it's not even bound by default, so I actually changed that manually. The other thing I changed is that the tilde key for me, which if you don't know what a tilde is, it's just to the left of the 1 key. My tilde key is set to idle villager. So I just periodically click it, because if I fuck up and leave a villager idle, then by just reflexively clicking it every once in a while, I'll know. So I find it to be a very useful habit to get into, especially when you're learning how to get better with your micro. Or your macro, rather, that would be. Okay, that's pretty well taken care of there. That village will be fine. What we're looking to right now is actually, I want to upgrade to the Fortress Age. Advance the Fortress Age with a villager, yes. The way that, instead of just doing the upgrade at your town center to go up ages, with Asian teams, you have to get your villagers to build a wonder, which is actually very good because they give you a bonus that is generally a lot better than simply the, get a lot of resources or few free units like the European teams get. You build a wonder that usually has a very powerful utility ability to it. And I believe all of the wonders are country-specific, making the Asian teams very, very unique. A lot of the European teams have a lot of very common themes between them, whereas the Asian and Native American teams tend to be very unique for each one. Now, I'd actually like to get more. One thing you'll notice here is I'm actually building very few units, like I'm barely even spending resources. The reason of this is you need very little army for this, and I could be producing a lot more and winning a lot faster, but I feel like I want to get a lot of the tutorial stuff out of the way in the first episode, explaining what the differences are in this expansion, why you should buy it. Which, by the way, you can buy this on Steam, the complete pack, an absolute deal. I believe it's like $20 or $30 for a fantastic game. And they didn't get dispatched yet? There they are. I'm gonna actually get them all to build together. I will actually have you train some troops. Oh no, we're actually at our unit cap. Okay. I'm actually just gonna go ahead and do that. And in fact, gonna go ahead and do this too. Yeah, increase income from shrines. And I'll put it right there. How inconvenient will that be? Doesn't really matter, it's a campaign mission. It's pretty hard to lose a lot of campaign missions, especially with this campaign mission. Enemies are particularly passive, they don't seem to attack your base at all. I believe I could go over to the right, and there might be more optional quests. Build a wonder so your army can age up. Yeah, there's not more optional quests over there, then. You want to go to Age 3, because then you can get some siege equipment. You don't need it, really, for this stage, but it speeds things up. Normally you want to be constantly producing military, constantly producing villagers, as you can see I'm not even doing right now. Normally you want to be doing that. Why I'm not right now is, again, this is a campaign mission. This is the tutorial one. I can afford to slip on the macro a lot. And do any of you not require food? You all require food, right? That's a Japanese thing. I believe Japan actually has a lot of upgrades for fishing boats. Rice paddies, which I haven't explained yet. This is the Asian equivalent of farms, which is, it's a very high wood cost building that you build. And it's slow income of food, but it doesn't run out like hunting does. This is a big disadvantage of Japan, actually.
Strengthen our attack. Use your castle to build siege weapons, and then take the fight to the enemy's heart.
A big disadvantage, actually, of Asian teams is that they cannot hunt animals, which is the fastest way to gather food. Instead, they have cherry orchards, which are Japanese only, and rice paddies, which are Asian only, and what you do is it's a farm that you can switch between whether it's producing food or coin, because you can be exporting the rice. So that adds an interesting dynamic of it's got a built-in plantation from the start. So that's very useful, actually. I find that very useful. We're actually going to start making some flaming arrows. They're very expensive in coin, however. And in fact, I shat the bed on that one. Didn't notice that my guys were out of coin there, so I've got to get them to move. Stealing my berries. Western Village. And the other thing I want to show before this episode ends, just so I can familiarize you with it earlier, I can build one of these babies. This is an Asian team only one. Got our ninja here. The plural of ninja is ninja, by the way, not ninjas. A lot of media seems to get that wrong. Okay. I like to keep siege weapons on a separate hotkey, by the way. It's optimal to have like infantry on one, cavalry on another, siege on another, to really vary up their speeds, have them attack different things a lot easier. For the sake of this campaign, I'll probably be lumping cavalry and infantry together a lot, but siege on a separate one, because siege will severely slow down your army, and siege you tend to want aiming at buildings. So, this is a thing Asian teams can do. They choose an ally, and it's not stage to stage, it's you can pick one of two depending on who you are, I believe it is. Japan in skirmish matches can always align with like Japanese ninjas, or ninja, I said ninjas now, or the Portuguese, I believe it is. In the campaign though, I think it's special. So we can pick the Dutch or the Portuguese, and by giving them export, they will give you different things. The Portuguese have a ton of cannons, mostly. Their shipments are boat-based, too, because the Portuguese tend to have the best navy in the game, at least for European powers. They also make you train settlers faster, which is really nice for kick-starting the economy. The Dutch give you a coin trickle, which is nice. They also give you mortars, and the mortars are a really nice, very long-ranged artillery for destroying buildings and boats. They also give economic buildings, and that's why I'm going to ally with them, because I believe they can actually give you bank shipments. Bank being unique Dutch buildings that are by far the greatest strength of the Dutch, which are considered a very strong team in this game. In fact, let's get a bank. A bank is, you build it, and it's forever giving you gold without having to have a single villager. It's just that bank is generating gold until it's destroyed. An incredible building. You also get an arsenal and a church, which are two more buildings that are European powers only, that you can now get with the Japanese. So they're a very solid team to ally with. They've got good weapons you can bring in. And the way it works is you're naturally generating export no matter what you're doing. And we'll just have that bank right here. You're always generating export. However, you can increase your export rate by 5% or 10%. However, all other resources you gather go down by the same percent. So it's really a double-edged sword doing that, but in general, I think it's a very good idea. Alright, that's enough tutorial stuff for this episode. I think we're ready to finish this. So let's siege the gate there. We got our flaming arrow here, which is a very basic Japanese siege unit that's working over one of the towers. Now, what I would actually recommend is let's really up the export rate. We're going to bring in some Portuguese cannons to help with this siege. We'd have to bring in falconets, which are more... They're still... Any cannon has good siege damage, but those things really are meant for destroying... They're meant for fighting groups of infantry. They can fire cannonball into a cluster of musketeers and do a lot of damage. They're not so much built for fighting buildings. However, they do still have a much better siege damage than your average unit. So, it's still a good idea. Again, you'll see my resources are stockpiling a lot. Here's a rule of thumb in RTSs. You may feel like you're the ultimate badass when you have all these resources and you got this big army and stuff. You want to have really low resources. You want to always be making and using villagers, but keep your resources really low. Because there's not really a point of stockpiling resources if you're not at your population cap. What you're really aiming for, and I believe what we had to destroy is this castle, by the way. What you're really aiming for in an RTS, and this goes for basically every RTS I've played in which you can gather your own resources, you're aiming to constantly produce your villager or citizen or settler, whatever it's called in your game. Always be producing it. Oh, we destroy this one. Okay. Always be producing it, and always be using them. Have them always on a task. But have very low resources because you're constantly spending resources. When you're first learning, just spend the resources on anything. But you want to refine that into knowing what to spend it on. And believe me, that'll really up your game. Just simply spending the resources and be getting a lot of resources is the first thing that so many new players do wrong, and it's such a simple thing to fix, and you will see a marked improvement in your game. You'll quickly get to the point where hard mode computers, very hard level computers, whatever difficulty the game has, will be no match for you.
The fight for Osaka Castle is over. Japan has no ruler but Tokugawa.
Alright, this is a little thing you get to do on all of your campaign missions, is after a campaign mission, you get to choose a new card. So I'll go ahead and this is just for the campaign only, and of course there are only about 5 missions for every single civilization, so these don't matter a whole ton. However, I will recommend, just as general Japanese ones to get, Heavenly Kami is your shrines are cheaper, and the resource rate is increased. As you can see, the actual numbers there, it's increased by quite a bit, and they are quite a bit cheaper. And shrines are your equivalent of houses. They also generate either experience or resources depending on what you set them to. They're Japanese only, and they are very good. So upgrading them is great. And this card unlocks the ability to generate experience from them, which will then generate you home shipments much more quickly to ship in free units to the battlefield, which will really help you win these battles. As for the Fortress tab, these are all your military upgrades and units. I do recommend you get the attack upgrade for their musketeers to make them even stronger. And what you can do is extra damage against cavalry. And this is nice because this is... it also increases their hit points by 15%, which is very nice. It only increases their hand damage to cavalry is what you need to keep in mind, though. Which means it's when the cavalry engage them in melee combat, or if you tell your musketeers to go in for melee attacks. I don't find that to be super necessary, actually. The health is very nice, but they already are very effective against cavalry and melee. What I would actually recommend is you get... Where is it? You want to start upgrading the Naganata riders. Start improving them because they are horse archers, kind of in a Mongolian style. They are very, very effective. So I do highly recommend you have those cards in your deck. And we can have 20 cards. We don't even have 20 cards total yet, so all of the cards we have so far are all put into our deck. That's good. Alright, on the next episode we go on to Threat in the East. If you guys have liked this Let's Play so far, then a link in the description will be to the playlist of this, so you can very conveniently watch the whole thing if you're interested. And also, if this interested you in this game, and you want to go and see what the other expansions are like, I have already Let's Played both War Chiefs and the vanilla game. The playlists of those will be in the description. And of course, if you just want to buy this game and you think it's the coolest thing, then I'll also have a link to the Steam store page, where you can purchase the game and both expansions all in one complete pack on Steam, so everyone will see when you're playing it, so everyone will know to join in and play it with you. I hope you guys enjoyed, and until next time, have a nice day.